North Face goes gay.
Mr. Reagan.
North Face hasn't just gone gay. North Face has gone super gay.
Yes, queen, yes, queen, yes, queen!
Never heard of Yas Queen?
No.
All right, Grandpa.
I'm going to play you their super gay ad in one moment. First, of course, I have to sell you something. Every day, it seems like we're inching ever closer to the apocalypse. Considering the disastrous policies of the current administration, it's terrifying to think what might happen if we get another 4 years. It's possible that the entire food supply chain could break down. So it's my personal view that we all need at least 3 months worth of food stocked up. Now, if you don't have that, you can go to preparewithmrreagan.com and get a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. And right now, they're offering this at $200 off. So it is a very good time to buy. This kit gives you breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks. Enough food for one person for 3 months. It provides over 2,000 calories a day for optimum strength and energy. And with this $200 off deal and free shipping, this might be a good time to stock up. And make sure you get one kit per person in your household so you don't run out. I was actually at one of these big box stores the other day and I spotted their emergency rations kit, and My Patriot Supply is a way better deal, so I feel very confident selling this product. With the world on the brink, give yourself that sense of security. Go to preparewithmrreagan.com right now and keep your family safe. That's preparewithmrreagan.com.
Nature lets you be who you are.
Even gay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are cordially invited to the Summer of Pride with my friends at the North Face. We're traveling all the gay across America, and everyone's invited. That means you.
Me.
And you.
Hello.
And you.
Wow.
Not you, though. You're too cute. Okay, just kidding. You can come. Put on your boots and come out. Side with us. See you there, besties. Don't you think this is all a little intense? I mean, look at you. You're in a literal tent right now. But no, this event will not be intense. Everyone is invited. Everyone is welcome. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah!
Honestly, I don't really know what to say about this video. This is a very in-your-face thing, right? It occurs to me that there are people who are sort of deeply, deeply fond of the LGBTQ movement and their purpose and their vision of what they want America to look like. But I don't think it's a huge population. I think it's probably something like 20%. Probably over 50% of Americans are sympathetic to homosexuals or the LGBTQ community in some kind of a way. But this kind of explicitly aggressive homosexual marketing or drag queen marketing or whatever, there's a lot of Americans who will find this disturbing and not funny and not interesting and off-putting. And I suppose what's even crazier is that we've seen how people react to super woke marketing. So it's like, maybe delete this off of YouTube.
I'll just delete this immediately.
Like, why are you going with this? This is like the craziest thing I've ever seen. Now, a lot of companies have gone super gay lately. We've looked at Ford trucks, which is mental, and obviously everybody knows about Target. Obviously everybody knows about Bud Light. And you know, those companies, especially Bud Light and Ford, they're more masculine companies. North Face, I think, is a little bit more neutral, right? It's about, to some degree, athletic pursuits, outdoor athletic pursuits. And that is somewhat gender neutral. It's not specifically like a straight guy thing. Although I will say that I do think that the idea of the gender neutral outdoorsman is a little bit of an illusion. Now, I grew up in Oregon, and a lot of the girls there were outdoorsy types. You know, just about everybody. You would ask a girl to go to the lake, or you would ask a girl to go to the beach, and they were kind of fine with it. They were fine with like outdoorsy stuff. They kind of grew up with that. But at the end of the day, if I wanted to go do some kind of adventurous things like cliff jumping or snowboarding or something like that, it was very rare that there was girls that wanted to come along. Sure, some girls would, especially if they like the guy, one of the guys that's coming along or something like that. But for the most part, you would go do those things with groups of guys. Yes, you could get groups of guys and girls, but oftentimes the girls were just going because they wanted to hang out with the guys, right? At the end of the day, I would say outdoorsy people that whole lifestyle is driven by men. And it's not driven by gay men. It's driven by straight men. And a lot of people who go outdoors and wear these kinds of athletic, outdoorsy clothes, they're straight. Yeah, you got gay people. Yeah, you got people who are sympathetic to gay people. But I just don't know. I just don't know why you would do this. I understand that they're getting a little bit of play on shows like mine, right? I'm going to do a video about North Face going gay. Look, at the end of the day, there is this concept, and Trump believes very strongly in this. All marketing is good marketing, right? All publicity is good publicity. But in this case, it's like you really want to do this kind of damage to your brand. And people will say, well, is it really damaging to the brand just to have a drag queen? Yes, it is. In the current atmosphere, it is. Because you have things like Drag Queen Story Hour. You have this concept in America that a lot of the LGBT stuff right now is pushing toward grooming children. And people will say, well, it's not pushing toward grooming children. Well, I don't know. Some of it is and some of it isn't. But at the end of the day, that's people's perception of what's going on. So whether you agree with them or not, if you're smart with marketing, you do not want to be associated with grooming children. And drag queens right now have that association. And what's really weird is I feel like people are really going to bat for drag queens at the moment, like really hardcore defending drag queens. And I feel like that's a really weird thing because the concept of the drag queen, that's not transgenderism. That's not homosexuality. That's just a guy dressing up like a woman in this sort of like audacious fashion and just being kind of weird. And like, that's completely a person's choice. That has nothing to do with they're born that way. You know what I mean? I think people are getting the whole trans concept and the drag queen concept mixed up. And look, I'm not saying that I believe that transgender people are born that way, but they claim that they are. A lot of people claim that they are. Drag queens don't even claim this. They just like to dress up as women, but like a cartoon version of a woman that just looks scary and weird. It's like a cross between a woman and a clown. And they sort of kind of try to bask in the reflected glow of the trans movement, right? The drag queen says, you know, we chose this lifestyle, but it's a lifestyle that we demand that you respect. Well, I don't respect it. And I think drag queens sitting around with a bunch of children reading children's books and trying to acclimate them to this as if it's normal, I think a lot of people do consider that some kind of grooming because the drag queen movement is associated with burlesque, and burlesque is associated with aggressive, provocative displays of sexuality. And a lot of these drag queen shows are very sexually provocative. You just don't want children exposed to that. And so the whole drag queen thing, I do think that it needs to be sort of set aside, right? The drag queen thing is just for adults who like that kind of entertainment, if you can call it that. So a lot of that lifestyle, a lot of that drag queen LGBTQ, let's celebrate our sexuality lifestyle, most people think that's inappropriate for kids. And there is this attempt to kind of make drag queens like Disney characters. Right? A drag queen and a Disney character is the same thing. In fact, recently at Disneyland, they had one of the princesses that people can meet. It was a guy. It was a dude. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Look, the vast majority of Americans are not into drag queens. All right. You use a drag queen as your spokesperson. People are going to stop buying your products. Now, the LA Dodgers have gone one step further, and they've hired drag queens to, I don't know, for some kind of entertainment purposes. But they're not just regular drag queens. They're specifically anti-Christian drag queens. They dress up as nuns and they do all this crap ridiculing Christianity. It is one of the most vulgar things I've ever seen ever. It's purely hateful. It's just bigoted. It's just hateful against Christianity. I mean, why? Honestly, why? These people are hateful bigots. You wouldn't hire an anti-Jewish drag queen. You wouldn't hire an anti-Muslim drag queen. So why is it okay to hire an anti-Christian group of bigots like this? Well, we all know why. Because these companies, they hate goodness. They hate anything wholesome. They embrace all that is evil. And that may sound silly. That may sound like something from a fantasy novel, right? They embraced evil and they rejected the good. But that really feels more and more like what we're dealing with these days. It's not just a debate about which political policy will most effectively improve the quality of life of regular Americans. No, now it seems like this has become a fight between good and evil. Look, we already know that Nike has fallen overboard into the sea of woke over the past few years. They first did this with Colin Kaepernick, right, with that whole saga. Then, of course, they jumped onto the Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light bandwagon by sponsoring Mulvaney themselves, but they had him model their women's apparel. Now, I don't know if this was a principled position by Nike or if it was just part of some kind of marketing thing, like a marketing decision. Like no press is bad press, like the North Face decision. But if that is what they're doing, if these companies genuinely have this idea, no press is bad press, and we should just do things to be provocative and have people talking about our products, why isn't North Face, why isn't Nike, why aren't these companies sponsoring the KKK? That'll get them a hell of a lot of press. You sponsor the KKK, you start putting that Nike swoosh on your white Ku Klux Klan robes, man, you are going to get a lot of media. You're going to get a lot of attention. If no press is bad press, if that's your justification for bringing in drag queens and transgender people and whatnot into your marketing campaigns, then sponsor the KKK. If that's really your thing, sponsor the KKK. But I don't think that it is. So this is at least somewhat either a principled position or virtue signaling to a certain group, right? And it's a group that opposes traditional Christian values. But, I guess it's not as big of a deal when an athletic wear company, or an outdoor apparel company goes woke because, like I said, they've got customers on all sides. But with Bud Light and Ford Trucks, it's like your core customers hate this stuff. But with these apparel companies, I don't know, maybe they think that, the added enthusiasm on the left will make up for the lost revenue from people on the right. But there's really no need for it. You can actually keep customers on both sides of the political divide. Just don't be political. That's it. That's all you have to do. Personally, I exclusively wear a running shoe brand called On, O-N. And I first discovered this company about 3 years ago through a YouTube video about Roger Federer. I'm a fan of tennis, and I'm a fan of Roger Federer. And it turns out that Roger Federer is not just arguably the best tennis player of all time. He is by far the best pro athlete businessman in history. At the end of that video that I watched about Roger Federer, the narrator explains that Roger Federer had invested in a Swiss athletic shoe company called On.
Federer had originally met the On founders over dinner in 2017, several years after he had first noticed how many people in Switzerland were wearing their shoes. He has now become an investor in, as well as a contributing product designer and representative for the brand, which was started in 2010 in Zurich.
So intrigued, I went out and I bought a pair of On athletic shoes, and I loved them. And now these are the only athletic shoes that I own. And I always have two pairs of athletic shoes, one for workouts in the apartment and then another pair for running around outside. Now, while making this video, I thought, well, I better check out the shoe company to see how woke they actually are. And my assumption was that, of course, they're woke. Of course they're woke. But although they have a headquarters in Berlin, a super woke European city, and they have a headquarters in Portland, which makes a lot of sense because Nike and Adidas are both in Portland, and shoe companies like to steal employees from each other. And even though everybody in the company is young, and many of them are clearly leftists, I don't really see any obviously woke stuff in their marketing. They're not pushing the LGBTQIA, JK, LMNOP, XYZ plus agenda in any way that I can see. If you type pride into a search for their videos, nothing relevant comes up. Now, they do have documentaries about folks involved in athletic pursuits from around the world, different cultures, but none of these documentaries are really about race or sexuality or anything like that. They're about sport. They're about fitness. They're about athleticism, striving for greatness, and the hopes and dreams of great competitors. And that is what you want to see from a company that sells athletic wear. Now, somebody in one of their videos even mentioned that obesity is a problem. It's strange to think that this is something that you can't say these days, but this is something you can't say these days. And yet, somebody said it in that On athletic shoes promotional video. There was one video that I found that I thought, oh, this video is definitely going to be woke. It was called Running for Change. And I thought, okay, what are we trying to change here? And this was about a guy named Mike Key. But you know what was amazing? I opened up the video and I watched it, and it was about a guy who'd had a stroke. And this stroke had made him realize the value of his life, and that he needed to make a difference with the time that he had left here on this earth. And watching that documentary was actually quite touching. Like, this is somebody doing something actually good. He wasn't doing it for attention. He wasn't doing it because it was the trendy new cause to support. He was doing it because he thought he needed to do something good for the world. And you know what? That kind of thing is not celebrated enough. It's certainly not celebrated by most of the major corporations of the world. Instead, they post stuff like this.
Hi, it's me, Patagonia, a real-life homosexual. And today I'm here with the North Face. We are here to invite you to come out in nature with us.
And they pretend like this is some kind of great moral benefit to society, celebrating LGBTQ crap. Frankly, I'm tired of celebrating LGBTQ crap. How about we celebrate fathers, strong principles, traditional values, raising your kids right, stuff like that. But even just seeing an athletic shoe company like On step out of politics altogether and celebrate athleticism, even that is a breath of fresh air. Look, I don't have all the answers. I don't think it's the moral obligation of everybody to ensure that every product that they ever buy is completely free of woke insanity. I don't even think that's possible. In fact, Babylon Bee just posted a headline that makes fun of this idea that we're going to boycott every woke company that there is. Then you're like living in a cave with a sleeping bag and that's it, right? Or something. What was it? You're sleeping in a cave with a MyPillow and some other product that's not woke or something, and that's like all the possessions you have. So, okay, we can't boycott every woke company, but we do what we can. And when a company like Bud Light comes along and destroys its own brand because of a dumb virtue signal, well, hopefully that sends shockwaves around the world and lets companies know that we don't subscribe to this new feminist, Marxist, LGBTQIA 2S plus critical race theory morality. No, the vast majority of us subscribe to simple, old-fashioned values, and maybe companies would be better off just staying out of politics. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and remember, it's not that liberal friends are ignorant, it's just they know so much that is not so. Good night.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening.